A moment on the airplane not only challenged, but also exposed the pain of racial discrimination that an African American soldier had to endure. However, his subsequent action became a profound inspiration. How can one moment change the perspective of an individual and an entire community? Explore the power of compassion and transformation through this deeply humane and moving story. Before we dive in, let us know, what time are you listening to this and where are you? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear from you. As the sun set, its crimson glow bathed the sky above the military base on the outskirts of Kabul in a reddish-purple hue. Lieutenant Michael Johnson stood in front of the window of his small office, gazing out over the dusty expanse of the base where he had spent the final days of his 6-year deployment. This African-American soldier from Atlanta had endured some of the harshest conditions a Marine Corps officer could face. Now, with his return date imminent, he felt a mix of eagerness and relief. While packing his last belongings, each item, a headscarf, a diary chronicling his thoughts over the past year, a family photo on his bedside table, evoked poignant memories. A subtle sadness mingled with a profound sense of pride for what he had achieved and contributed. As he was arranging the last of his items, there was a gentle knock on the door. Colonel Anderson, his commander, entered with a friendly smile. "Michael, I just wanted to come by and tell you that we greatly appreciate what you've done for this unit," Colonel Anderson said, his voice filled with respect. "Sir, it was my duty and honor. I hope I've fulfilled my role," Michael replied, his eyes sweeping over the landscape outside the window one more time. "You certainly have, and we want to express our gratitude. We've arranged a first-class seat for your flight home. It's the least we can do to thank you for all your sacrifices." Michael was surprised and grateful. "Sir, I don't know what to say, just thank you truly. It's a tremendous gift. That's what you deserve, Michael. Now, enjoy the journey and the time with your family. We look forward to the day you return, but for now, you deserve some rest." With a firm handshake and a look of deep respect, Colonel Anderson left the room, leaving Michael to ponder his upcoming trip and the long-awaited time with his family. Michael thought about what he would do once home. He wanted to make up for lost time, heal missed moments, and create new memories with his family. Yet, he also felt apprehensive about adjusting to everyday life after such a long separation. But whatever the future held, Michael knew he wouldn't have to face it alone. He was on his way home. The flight attendant greeted him with a warm smile as he walked down the aisle, but her smile couldn't dispel the cold stares from those around him. Michael was accustomed to being viewed differently, whether on the battlefield or at home. But today he did not want these negative thoughts to overshadow his joy of returning. As his return home counted down by the hour, all of Michael's thoughts centered on making up for lost time, healing missed moments, and creating new memories with his family. Though he felt a bit anxious about adjusting back to everyday life after a long separation, he knew he wasn't facing it alone. Michael was ready for the journey back to the warmth of his family. On the first-class flight, the flight attendant welcomed him with a warm smile as he walked along the aisle. Although her friendly smile couldn't completely eliminate the cold stares of judgment from others around, Michael was used to this, whether on the battlefield or back home. But today he wouldn't let any negative thoughts dim his joy of returning home. He moved to his seat in the plane, where soft leather seats and private screens awaited. Michael leaned back, closed his eyes, and imagined his wife and son waiting for him at home. In that peaceful atmosphere, he felt his heart gradually relax, until a harsh voice from the row behind startled him. "Why is someone like him sitting here?" The voice was loud enough for Michael to hear. Despite feeling unsettled, Michael decided not to let these words affect him. He reminded himself that he deserved every moment of this rest, after all he had been through. "I am here because I served this country," he thought to himself. "And now I am going home, to the family waiting for me." He would not let the whispers behind overshadow his joy. He knew that despite his service to the country, he still had to face invisible barriers due to his skin color. The first-class cabin of the aircraft was spacious and quiet, each detail exuding luxury and comfort. The soft leather seats that could recline into beds were spaced far enough apart to ensure maximum privacy for each passenger. The gentle lighting and cozy atmosphere mitigated the chill of the cabin, while amenities like private screens, noise-canceling headphones, and a varied menu were prepared to cater to the needs of each traveler. Michael settled into his seat, relishing the comfort he had longed for after the recent stressful months. He took off his shoes, pulled the thin blanket over himself, and prepared for a relaxing flight home. He began scrolling through the list of movies and shows on the screen in front of him, looking for a good film to unwind and entertain himself. However, the tranquility didn't last long. The elderly white woman sitting next to him seemed uncomfortable from the moment she saw Michael. She pulled a book from her bag, but kept muttering and shaking her head, frequently sizing Michael up from top to bottom. Every time Michael shifted or adjusted his position, she would shrink away as if sitting next to him was a significant inconvenience. Michael tried not to mind her discomfort, understanding that not everyone easily accepts differences. He closed his eyes, focused on positive thoughts, and pictured his family waiting for him at home. But the tense atmosphere and the woman's evident discomfort gradually affected Michael, evoking a deep sadness about the ongoing prejudices and social distances. As the plane ascended and stabilized in the sky, the first-class cabin's air grew tense with the woman's evident discomfort. She began whispering to the passenger behind her about her dissatisfaction with sitting next to him, her voice mixed with displeasure and suspicion, which weighed heavily on the surrounding atmosphere. "It's unbelievable. I didn't expect to have to sit next to," she said loud enough for Michael to hear every word. The woman beside her just nodded slightly, unwilling to engage in the escalating negative conversation. Michael noticed her glance at his first-class ticket and the uniform he wore. "How could someone like him be sitting here?" she continued, this time addressing another passenger. Her words not only offended Michael, but also created a tense atmosphere in the surrounding seating area. Feeling the irony and racial bias from this woman, Michael decided to remain calm. He knew reacting would only make the situation worse. Instead, he closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and focused on his family and loved ones he was about to reunite with. The conversation continued as she incessantly complained to those around her. "Surely he couldn't have afforded this ticket on his own," she whispered to the man beside her, implying that Michael might have obtained his ticket in some illegitimate way. These words pained Michael further, but he remained patient. As she became more enthusiastic about sharing her views with other passengers, a few began to feel uncomfortable. Some eyes turned towards Michael, not with criticism, but with empathy and even admiration for his silence in the face of provocation. Eventually, a middle-aged passenger decided to intervene. "Ma'am, I think everyone here deserves to be comfortable on this flight," he said politely yet firmly. "We shouldn't judge others based on their skin color or attire. We're all passengers, and I believe everyone deserves respect." The man's words somewhat eased the tense atmosphere, but Michael knew the racial discrimination he had just experienced wouldn't disappear instantly. He quietly thanked the man for his intervention and felt somewhat consoled. As the atmosphere in the first-class cabin settled down following the intervention of the middle-aged passenger, the woman next to Michael felt the pressure from the surrounding silence. After a few minutes of contemplation, she turned to Michael with the intention to explain. "You know," she began hesitantly, "I didn't mean anything bad. It's just that I don't understand why soldiers get such preferential treatment." Michael, though hurt by her earlier words, decided to address the situation with calmness and kindness. He opened his eyes, looked directly into the woman's eyes, and responded gently yet firmly. "Ma'am, I understand it might be hard to see someone receive special treatment, but please believe me, what we, the soldiers, go through on the battlefield is beyond what many can imagine. This first-class ticket is not just a comfortable seat. It's part of the gratitude for those who are ready to sacrifice everything for our freedom and safety." The woman listened to Michael's explanation, and although her expression was not entirely convinced, she furrowed her brow, pondered for a moment, and then continued. "But does everyone deserve such preferential treatment? I understand that you and others have fought, but many other people have also worked hard and made sacrifices." Michael nodded gently, understanding that her discontent stemmed from a broader perspective on fairness and justice. He slowly replied, respectfully and patiently, "You are correct. Everyone deserves recognition and respect for their contributions. However, the forms of gratitude can differ depending on the circumstances. For us, soldiers, amenities like a first-class plane ticket are sometimes not just about comfort, but also a part of the psychological recovery process after what we've been through. Michael paused, looking into her eyes, trying to convey sincerity. I believe that everyone, in every profession, deserves to be honored in their own way, and I hope that each of us, within our capabilities, can appreciate and recognize that in others. The woman listened to Michael, but the discomfort in her eyes remained. She raised her eyebrows, her tone slightly sarcastic. I don't know if it's because of your skin color that you're treated this way. Truly, there are many others who also deserve recognition, sitting in this cabin. Michael felt a surge of anger rise within him, but he took a deep breath to stay calm. Ma'am, skin color does not determine a person's value or their contributions, he replied, trying to keep his tone even. We are all citizens of this country, and all of us deserve respect, she continued, her tone still laced with accusations. But in modern society, aren't people often honored for the wrong reasons? I see no reason why a soldier like you, with that skin color, should be given preference while others are also deserving. Michael could no longer sit quietly. Ma'am, this isn't just about me or my skin color. It's about the commitment and sacrifices each of us has made. Regardless of skin color or background, we all contribute to society, and recognizing that should not be skewed by prejudices. Her gaze hardened, but Michael could see a flicker of uncertainty in it. You may not agree with my view, but I hope that with a bit of understanding, you might see that none of us chose the color of our skin. What matters is what we do with our lives and what we contribute to the community. She lowered her voice, but did not back down. I just think maybe your skin color has made you perceived differently. That's a reality we cannot deny. Perhaps that's true, Michael replied, his voice tinged with irony, but that doesn't mean I am any less valuable than anyone else. How we assess each other should not just be based on appearances. The conversation began to grow more tense, the air in the first-class cabin thickening with the clash of perspectives. Michael felt weary of having to explain the injustices he faced, but he knew this dialogue was necessary. We need to learn to respect each other and recognize the value of each individual without being influenced by prejudices. Her gaze hardened, but Michael could see a flicker of uncertainty in it. You may not agree with me, but I hope that, with a bit of understanding, you can see that none of us chose our skin color. What matters is what we do with our lives and what we contribute to the community. She lowered her voice, but her resolve remained. I just think that perhaps your skin color has made you perceived differently. That's a reality we can't deny. Perhaps that's true, Michael replied, his tone laced with irony, but that doesn't mean I am any less valuable than anyone else. How we evaluate each other should not be based solely on appearances. The conversation began to tense up. The atmosphere in the first-class cabin thickened with the clash of viewpoints. Michael felt exhausted explaining the injustices he faced, but he knew this dialogue was necessary. We need to learn to respect each other and recognize the value of each individual without being influenced by prejudices. The woman continued to look at Michael with displeasure, her tone increasingly angry. I can't sit next to someone I'm not comfortable with, she declared coldly. I request that this flight be stopped immediately. Michael was shocked, unable to believe what he just heard. Stop the flight? Do you really think that's a solution? He asked, disappointment rising within him. I'm just trying to understand your point of view, and hoping you might understand mine as well. She shook her head, showing no signs of compromise. No, I do not want to sit next to someone like you. I request to be moved to another seat, or at least to have a talk with the attendant. This can't continue, she insisted, pointing toward the aisle. The flight attendant, who had just walked over to serve passengers, immediately sensed the tension. She turned to Michael with a sympathetic look before approaching the woman. Ma'am, is there a problem? The attendant asked, her tone polite but firm. The problem is, I cannot sit next to this soldier, she replied, her tone still sharp. I demand to be moved immediately. I can't endure this any longer. The attendant raised her head, trying to maintain calm in a difficult situation. I'm sorry you feel uncomfortable. However, the seating on this flight has been arranged, and each passenger has the right to their assigned seat. Is there anything I can do to make you feel more comfortable? I don't want to be here anymore. I want to move to another seat, or request the flight be stopped, she insisted, her gaze unwavering. I do not accept having to sit next to someone like that. The woman's firmness made Michael feel both angry and frustrated. but he knew that reacting would only escalate the situation. While the flight attendant tried to resolve the issue, Michael decided that staying calm was the best approach. He slowly put on his noise-canceling headphones and closed his eyes, trying to detach himself from the tense atmosphere around him. Listening to music might help me stay calm, he thought. The soft music from the headphones began to seep into his mind, offering a bit of solace amidst the turmoil. However, the sounds of the conversation between the attendant and the woman still reached his ears, preventing Michael from completely disconnecting. "Can you understand that your request would cause a lot of inconvenience to the other passengers?" the attendant said, trying to be gentle yet maintaining seriousness. "We are very sorry for your discomfort, but stopping the flight is not possible." Michael sneakily opened his eyes and glanced at the woman. She was still sitting there, clearly unwilling to listen, with an unapologetic expression. "I don't care about the other passengers. What I care about is my comfort," she said, her tone becoming increasingly harsh. Michael felt the anger boiling inside him, but he knew that he shouldn't let his anger control him. He had served his country, endured so much over the past year, and he couldn't let an ignorant person ruin his flight. "Please stay calm," the attendant continued, her voice gentle but firm. "We will try to find the best solution for everyone." Amidst the ongoing tense atmosphere, a passenger sitting above the woman, a middle-aged man with a calm demeanor, stood up and approached the attendant. He stopped in front of her, a conciliatory smile on his lips. "Ma'am, I've heard what's been going on, and I understand that you're uncomfortable," he said with a polite but firm voice. "If it helps resolve the situation, I'm willing to switch seats with you." The woman looked at him, surprised by the intervention. "Really?" she asked, suspicion evident in her eyes. "You really want to sit next to this soldier?" "Yes," he replied, without hesitation. "I don't want to see someone suffer discomfort just because of their differences. We are all passengers on this flight, and everyone deserves respect." Michael heard the offer and felt a bit relieved. He looked at the man with gratitude. His action not only showed courage, but also a testament to human kindness in a challenging situation. The woman finally nodded, reluctantly accepting the passenger's offer. "All right, if that's what you want," she said, her tone somewhat softer. "Thank you," the man said, turning back to the attendant. "I'll switch places with her. Please arrange it." The attendant quickly handled the situation, facilitating the seat switch smoothly. Michael felt the tension in the air ease as the woman moved to her new seat. As the woman left, Michael smiled at the man. "Thank you for standing up," he said. "Your action really helped a lot." The man nodded, his eyes warm. "I only did what was necessary. We can't let differences divide us, especially in moments like these." Michael returned to his seat, feeling somewhat improved in spirit. The music in his headphones seemed lighter, and he once again found peace of mind. The middle-aged man sat down next to Michael, his eyes radiating friendliness and sincerity. "Hello, my name is James," he said, extending his hand to shake Michael's. "It's nice to meet you, even under less than ideal circumstances." Michael shook James's hand, feeling the warmth and firmness of the handshake. "Nice to meet you, James. I'm Michael," he replied, his tone more relaxed. "Thank you for stepping in earlier. Your action really helped me a lot." James smiled, his empathetic gaze making Michael feel more at ease. "I just think no one should feel uncomfortable while traveling, especially in first class. We all have the right to be respected and feel safe," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "You're right," Michael agreed, feeling a bond forming between them. "Sometimes, people forget that skin color or background doesn't determine a person's value. We all have our own experiences and all deserve to be heard." James nodded, clearly agreeing. "I've seen this happen many times. Unfortunately, prejudices still exist, but I believe that through conversations like this, we can help change people's perspectives." "That's true," Michael said, his eyes brightening with enthusiasm. "Each of us can be a part of positive change. I hope that, when I get back home, I can spread that message to others." Their conversation became more comfortable, with exchanges about life, family, and what they were looking forward to when they got home. Michael felt some of the pressure lift from his shoulders, and James's empathy made him feel less alone in his journey. As Michael stepped out of the airport, a refreshing breeze from his homeland gently caressed his face, a welcome change from the harsh, arid climate he had endured for the past year. His eyes immediately searched for familiar faces in the crowd, and he quickly spotted them, his family, standing with beaming smiles and teary eyes. Approaching them, his young son Elijah ran towards him with uncontrollable joy. Michael bent down, embracing his boy tightly, the son he had deeply missed every day. Holding his son in his arms made all the fatigue and stress melt away. "I've missed you so much, Elijah," Michael whispered, his voice choked with emotion. His parents stepped forward and hugged him tightly. His usually calm and strong mother couldn't hide her emotions this time. "Welcome home, Michael," she said, her voice quivering. His father, a man of few words, patted him on the back and smiled. The warmth and security that the presence of his family provided were what Michael had longed for during his days away. On the drive home, in the family car that had been waiting, he shared amusing stories about daily life at the base, the challenges with food, the exercise routines, and jokes among teammates to bring laughter to everyone. He talked about the places he had been and the experiences he had had, but he kept his deep emotions about the incident on the flight to himself, not wanting to dampen the joy of the reunion. As the car rolled through the familiar streets of his town, Michael felt an unusual sense of peace. He knew there would be challenges ahead in reintegrating into civilian life and dealing with the psychological aftermath of war. But in this moment, with his family by his side, he knew he was back where he belonged. Life might not be the same as before, but now he was ready to face everything with the support of his loved ones. In the days following his return, Michael and his son Elijah spent much time together, making up for the time that had been lost. Every morning, Michael woke up early to prepare breakfast with Elijah, who was eager to help his dad in the kitchen, curious to learn how to toast bread or make scrambled eggs. Their afternoons were often spent playing soccer in the nearby park. Michael, with his good athletic skills, taught Elijah how to kick the ball, defend, and attack. Laughter echoed through the park whenever Elijah scored, and the boy would jump into Michael's arms with unrestrained joy. For Elijah, his father was not only a hero on the battlefield, but also a guide in every aspect of life. Before bedtime, Michael often read stories to Elijah, choosing books about heroes and explorers, emphasizing lessons on courage and kindness. Under the soft light in the bedroom, Michael did more than just tell stories. He conveyed the values he hoped Elijah would carry throughout his life. Every moment they spent together, from simple games to grand adventures, was an opportunity for Michael to shape the values and lessons he wanted his son to learn. For Michael, being the best father he could be was the most important mission in his life, and he felt honored that Elijah saw him as a hero. These moments not only deepened their father-son relationship, but also left a profound imprint on their memories, forging a sincere and strong bond. One day, Michael eagerly prepared for a picnic with his son Elijah's class. It was an annual event where parents and students engaged in outdoor activities and bonded through games. Michael had prepared a complete picnic basket, including Elijah's favorite snacks and some homemade dishes to share with everyone. Upon arriving at the park, the atmosphere was filled with laughter and lively greetings. Michael and Elijah set their picnic basket in a spacious area near the children's playground. Elijah quickly mingled with his friends, while Michael started arranging the food, ready to welcome guests. While busy preparing sandwiches, Michael looked up and was surprised to see the woman from the previous flight, the one who had caused unnecessary conflict. She was not far away, looking just as surprised and embarrassed as he was. Michael realized she was the mother of one of Elijah's classmates. Michael decided to keep calm and be polite. He approached her to say hello, hoping the outdoor atmosphere would erase any remaining tension from the flight. "Good morning, here we meet again," Michael said gently, trying not to make her feel awkward. The woman was momentarily flustered, but responded to the greeting. Although still a bit stiff and distant, the picnic atmosphere and the presence of many others seemed to lessen the tension. "Yes, I didn't expect to see you here," she said with a forced smile. Michael didn't want the past incident to affect the children's fun, especially Elijah's. He decided to put aside any grudges, focusing on the day's goal, to create happy memories for his son. He invited her to join his group, introduced her to other parents, and shared some of the food he had prepared. The picnic continued with games, laughter, and applause. Michael sat watching Elijah running around, his laughter echoing throughout the park, reminding him that the most important thing was his son's joy and happiness. In moments like these, all other troubles seemed to vanish. leaving only love and empathy that people can offer each other. As laughter and lively conversations filled the green space of the park, no one noticed that a horrific accident was about to happen. The parents were busy preparing food and chatting, only keeping a distant eye on the children playing near a small water body in the park. The woman's 7-year-old son, caught up in the surrounding games, lost track of safety boundaries. He chased a floating leaf near the water's edge, completely unaware of the lurking danger. As he approached the edge of the pond, in a moment of carelessness, his foot slipped on the wet grass, and he fell into the water with a loud splash. The water splashed, creating a small wave, but the noise was almost swallowed up in the bustling noise of the picnic. The woman, chatting with others, was unaware of what was happening, but Michael, with the sharp instincts of a trained soldier, immediately sensed something was wrong. He saw the boy's striped shirt floating in the murky water and didn't hesitate for a second. "The boy!" Michael shouted, but no one heard him. He took off his shoes and plunged into the pond, the cold water rushing against him. With strong strokes, he quickly reached the struggling boy, his little hands flailing in the water. "Hold on tight!" Michael shouted, grabbing the boy and keeping one arm around him to keep him afloat, while the other powerfully pushed them toward the shore. When Michael placed the boy on the shore, other parents rushed over, horrified by what had just happened. "He's not breathing!" a parent cried out, spreading panic quickly. Though the boy was out of the water and out of immediate danger, Michael didn't hesitate. He quickly checked the boy's condition. "Stay calm," he gently reassured, laying him down on his back, slightly tilting his head back to open his airway, while checking for breathing and pulse. Noticing the boy was having difficulty breathing, Michael immediately performed rescue breathing techniques. He gently blew breaths into the boy's mouth, each breath carefully calculated not to harm the boy's small lungs. Each breath was an effort to save a life, and Michael couldn't help feeling a surge of anxiety. "Don't give up now!" he whispered, monitoring the boy's skin color and elasticity to assess his blood oxygen level. The surroundings grew quiet, filled only with Michael's heavy breathing and the tense anticipation of onlookers. After a tense few minutes, the boy began to breathe regularly, a sign that his condition was stabilizing. Life returned to his eyes, and the parents around were both amazed and grateful for Michael's quick action and professionalism. The boy's mother, now calmed, tears stopped, and her eyes deeply grateful hugged her son tightly. Thank you," she choked out, her voice tearful. "I don't know what would have happened without you." Michael stood up, still panting but filled with satisfaction. "All's well now. Always keep children close to the water. They need constant supervision," he emphasized, looking around, sensing the tension in the parents' hearts. "Dad, I saw everything," Elijah exclaimed, his voice overflowing with excitement. "Dad, you were amazing. You saved a boy. You're a hero." Michael crouched down, embracing his son tightly. "Thank you, son. But Dad just did what anyone would do in that situation. It's important that we always stay safe and take care of each other." The picnic continued with a renewed sense of joy as everyone paused games and activities to engage in heartfelt conversations. The atmosphere warmed up, filled with love and gratitude. The parents, previously tense, now gathered together, sharing stories and experiences, creating a bonding space. "Thanks to you, we now understand the importance of being attentive and vigilant," a mother told Michael, her eyes full of appreciation. "I used to think those things weren't that important, but now I'll never forget." "That's right. In such tough situations, it's kindness and sharing that really bind people together," Michael responded, feeling warmed by the unity this situation had brought about. People felt closer to each other, their earlier worries dissolved. They joked, shared beautiful memories and life challenges, realizing that it's during the toughest times that human kindness and mutual support are most needed. A cheerful atmosphere enveloped the picnic area, and Michael couldn't help but feel content. Seeing Elijah, with his beaming smile and sparkling eyes, he knew that this connection and love were what he had fought to protect. After the incident at the park, the woman returned home with a heavy heart. That night, as darkness enveloped and the outside world fell silent, she found no peace. In the darkness of her room, the image of Michael bravely saving her son haunted her mind, serving as a profound lesson about courage and dignity, qualities she had failed to see in him due to her own prejudices. "Oh, Why could I have been like that? She mused to herself, her heart aching as she thought about her previous thoughts. Each of Michael's actions was like cold water waking her from a sweet but prejudiced and ignorant dream. Sitting alone in the quiet living room, she confronted her own thoughts, feeling as heavy as a stone pressing on her chest. I was so blind, she sighed, her voice lost in the quiet space. Judging him through the narrow lens of shallow prejudices and ignorance, feelings of shame and regret overwhelmed her, like waves that suffocate. How could I have underestimated someone who risked everything to save my child? She wondered, self-reproach welling up. The harsh light of truth continuously shone on the dark corners of her mind, where prejudices and misunderstandings had long taken root. Every image of Michael that came to her mind, his smile, his words that she had missed, all reminded her of her own mistakes. Thinking back to our encounter on the flight, I realized how blind I was, she whispered, her eyes tightly closed to hold back tears. Why couldn't I see his true character? Why did I let prejudices cloud my vision? The incident in the park had stripped away her illusions, leaving her with a painful awareness of the need for change. I can't continue like this, she reminded herself. I must make amends. With a new resolve burning within her, she told herself that she needed to change. The road ahead won't be easy, she knew, but the first steps in admitting her mistakes had already begun to change her way of life, toward reconciliation and understanding. I will rebuild, not just for Michael, but for my own growth, she murmured to herself. In the following days, the woman spent hours immersed in books about cultural diversity and combating racism. Each page opened up a new world to her, where the barriers in her thinking that she had built all her life began to crumble. She journaled, recording each thought, emotion, and valuable lesson she learned, marking a deeply moving personal journey. I was wrong, she reminded herself, as the pen glided over the paper. But what matters is that I can change. She attended workshops, conversing with people from various cultural backgrounds. Each meeting was a chance to expand her perspective, to understand more about life and the struggles others had faced. I need to listen more, she thought, realizing that each story holds its own value and truth. Finally, after many sleepless nights, in the darkness of her reflections, she decided to write a letter to Michael. Each word in the letter was a part of her thoughts, the sincere emotion she had grappled with for a long time. Thank you for your courage, she wrote, filled with gratitude. Because of you, I have realized my mistakes. She acknowledged her mistakes and expressed sincere remorse for her previous attitude. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I wish to start over, she wrote, tears streaming down her face. Sending this letter was not only a step in apologizing, but also a personal commitment to the process of change and self-improvement. Though I'm not sure you can fully forgive me, she thought to herself, I am ready to face any consequences. In her heart, recognizing and accepting her flaws had become an important step in her journey toward personal growth. She hoped not only to erase past mistakes, but also to reach new heights in how she lived and interacted with those around her. This letter, though just a piece of paper, carried her sincerity, marking the beginning of many positive changes in her life. I hope this letter not only opens a new chapter in my relationship with Michael, but also in how I connect with the world around me. A new chapter written with understanding, respect, and love. With that in mind, she sent the letter, her heart full of hope and a bit of anxiety. Who knows, this could be the start of a new journey. She smiled, promising herself that she would never return to her old prejudices. Upon receiving the letter from the woman, Michael felt an unusual sense of relief permeate his soul. Her sincere apology and desire for change deeply touched him. He understood that recognizing one's mistakes and offering a heartfelt apology is a significant effort, especially for someone who once harbored deep prejudices. Inspired by her honesty and bravery, he realized that everyone has the capacity for change. Michael sat down at the table in the peaceful ambiance of his living room, where worry and anxiety had been replaced by inner peace. He spread out a sheet of paper, the words forming in his mind. He began to write, "Dear Madam, after receiving your letter, I took some time to reflect on every word you wrote. I want to start my response by expressing my profound gratitude for your openness and sincere sharing. It is not easy to admit and confront one's mistakes, especially those that have become ingrained in our subconscious. and I deeply appreciate the courage you have shown. I believe that all of us can make mistakes, but mistakes do not define who we are. What matters is our ability to recognize them, learn from them, and strive not to repeat them in the future. When you expressed your emotions and decided to change, I felt a strong sense of hope and encouragement. In your words, I saw not just mistakes, but the growth and change of a person. The incident at the park, regrettable as it was, has become a valuable opportunity for both of us to reflect on ourselves and seek to live better. We live in a world full of differences, and sometimes these differences make us feel wary or cautious. However, it is precisely these challenging moments that offer us the opportunity to learn from each other and to open our hearts. I believe that everyone has a tremendous capacity for love and understanding, and each time we choose to express it, the world becomes a slightly better place. Please know that I have accepted your apology, and I hope that we can move forward with mutual understanding and respect. I also hope that both you and I will continue on this journey, not just with each other, but with those around us, extending our hands and hearts to embrace and understand more. Sincerely, Michael. After finishing the letter, Michael carefully folded it, placed it in an envelope, and sealed it. "Elijah!" Michael called, his eyes lighting up as his son entered. "Can you help Dad with something?" "Yes, Dad," Elijah replied, his eyes full of eagerness. "I just wrote a letter to Tom's mom. Can you take it to her house for me?" "I'll go right now," the boy happily said, ready to take on the task. Just then, Michael's wife Anna entered the room with a gentle smile. "I'll go with him, and so we don't go empty-handed, we'll bring some cookies," she said, her warm gaze on Michael. "That's wonderful," Michael replied, feeling warmed by his wife's support. "The cookies will be the perfect gift. She's sure to appreciate it." Elijah quickly took the letter and headed out with his mother, his heart brimming with excitement. A few days later, she suggested meeting at a small, quiet cafe, secluded from daily life, a tranquil place for sincere and open conversation. Upon entering, she was overwhelmed by a mix of anxiety and determination. Spotting Michael with his welcoming smile, she approached. "Michael," she began, her voice trembling, "I am deeply grateful for your response. Your words lifted me, encouraging me to embrace this challenging journey of change." Michael replied with genuine warmth. "I admire your courage to face these challenges and commit to change. What motivated you to take this step?" Taking a deep breath, she explained, "I realized my long-held prejudices were limiting me. Seeing you save my son was a shock that made me understand we all have barriers to overcome." "I understand," Michael responded empathetically. "Recognizing oneself is the first step to change." She nodded, tears appearing. "I want to change not only for myself, but also for my son. I aim to create a respectful, tolerant environment where diversity is valued." Listening intently, Michael commented, "That's wonderful. You're shaping a new generation, which is crucial. Children learn a lot from our actions." "Thank you," she said gratefully. "I no longer feel alone in this journey. I appreciate your patience." Michael smiled warmly. "Change is a journey, not a destination. We need to support each other." Comforted by his words, she admitted, "I've been too hard on myself, trying to do the best for my son, sometimes losing my way." "Everyone has moments of regret," Michael reassured her, "but what's important is that we learn and grow from those experiences." Their conversation, filled with heartfelt stories and emotions, concluded with mutual feelings of hope and appreciation. She left the cafe feeling supported and more determined to pursue self-improvement. Michael felt content, thankful for the chance to influence positive change. They departed the cafe with optimism about the future, committed to fostering a relationship that not only thrives, but also promotes meaningful change in their community. Their shared vision of a more inclusive and understanding society seemed more attainable than ever, demonstrating the power of forgiveness and the potential for human growth and change. Following their meeting, the principal, who was always attuned to inspiring stories within the school, decided to hold a special ceremony to recognize Michael's brave action before all the students and teachers. "We honor not just a brave act, but also a symbol of compassion and empathy," the principal stated, his eyes proudly fixed on Michael. His actions not only saved a child's life, but also serve as a valuable lesson for all of us about love and acceptance. As Michael stepped onto the stage to receive a certificate of commendation, he was overwhelmed with emotion. The resounding applause warmed his heart. In that moment, he realized that standing up for others could empower the entire community. After the ceremony, the woman, now a close friend of Michael, came up with an idea. "Michael, I want to start a club at the school," she proposed, her eyes shining. "This club will focus on combating racism and building understanding between cultures. I want you to take a lead role in it." Michael looked at her, surprised. "Me? Why me?" he asked, wondering if he was capable of such a significant responsibility. "Because you've shown that you are not only a hero, but also a leader," she responded, her voice full of confidence. "This club needs someone like you, someone who can inspire and bring people together." After some reflection, Michael felt a fire of determination ignite within him. "I'm very willing," he answered, excitement surging. "Together, we will create a safe space for all students, where everyone can learn, share, and grow." Once Michael agreed to lead the anti-racism club, he and the woman began planning the first meetings. They planned various engaging activities aimed at creating a safe space and encouraging understanding among different cultural backgrounds in the school. The first meeting took place with enthusiastic participation from students and teachers. Michael stood before the crowd, his eyes sparkling with passion. "Hello, everyone. Today we are not just starting a club, but creating a community where everyone can voice their perspectives," he began, his voice resonating in the room. "Together, we'll explore stories, share experiences, and learn from one another, because diversity is our strength." One of the first major activities was inviting veterans, especially those of color, to share their experiences. Michael reached out to several veterans in the community to invite them to participate. "We need to hear from those who have fought not just on battlefields, but also in everyday life," he emphasized. "They have important stories to share about courage, perseverance, and the prejudices they've faced." The club also organized cultural days, where people were encouraged to bring traditional dishes, costumes, and personal cultural stories. During one meeting, a student of color stood up and shared, "I always felt discriminated against, but joining this club made me realize there are many who are ready to stand with me." The club became more than just a learning place. It was a source of encouragement, urging everyone to stand against discrimination and celebrate diversity. These activities became an integral part of the students' lives, creating an environment where everyone could be proud of their cultural identity while respecting and accepting others' differences. Michael realized they had created a strong community where love and understanding were not just theoretical, but a vivid reality in everyone's daily lives. "We are creating a wave of change, and that's really important," he thought to himself, filled with pride. Their small efforts were beginning to build a stronger community where people could understand and respect each other. Michael felt like he was helping write a new story, one of love, acceptance, and genuine relationships. He smiled, hopeful, knowing that every conversation and activity was a significant step in overcoming the societal barriers that still existed. As we conclude this story, remember that you too can be part of the change we wish to see in the world. If Michael's story has inspired you, don't hesitate to take action. Start by engaging in discussions, supporting community initiatives, and sharing these experiences with those around you. Every share, every small action you take can contribute to spreading understanding and respect, building a stronger and more diverse community. Subscribe to our channel to not miss any stories or events in the future. We are eager to hear your stories and ideas about how we can continue this fight together. Together, we can make a difference. Share this video to inspire others and invite them to join this journey with us. Thank you for watching and taking action.